Previously on Bleach. A lot of shit happened. Alright, now look, I know probably every one of you wants to ask me the same question right now in the comments, because it's the same question I got in a shit ton of emails this morning regarding the end of the current half of the 1,000-year Blood War arc, and Bleach going on a 2-month hiatus, and then continuing. Okay, thoughts on that at the end. Let's just go with the review. I know this wasn't really much of a funny intro, but I think Shunsui said it best in this chapter. I'm not really in the mood for jokes right now. Yeah. Hey everybody, Tekking101 here to review Bleach Chapter number 546, entitled The Last 9 Days. What are the last 9 days? We'll find out in 2 months. Yeah. Anyway, the chapter opens up from last chapter where Keigo is astonished by Shunsui's words that Ichigo and him will eventually have to part ways. Ichigo and all of his friends will eventually have to part ways, and he does his little comic relief skit like, "Oh, you must be joking, Captain. That's a nice little kimono you have there." Well, I gotta give Keigo some credit. At least he knows what a kimono is. Unlike me, apparently. So that, under the impression that she is gonna make him a new kimono. I thought they were the same thing. Like, I didn't know one was supposed to be used for something completely. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, Shunsui reiterates the fact that no, he is not joking. Really, he's being serious at the moment that Ichigo might not be able to ever see his friends in the human world anyway, ever again. Going along with the 5 stages of grief, Keigo completely shifts his attitude to be more serious and states that the only reason that he's even saying this is because right now Ichigo is being forced to clean up one of the messes of the Soul Society. Tatsuki tries to quiet him down, but Shunsui says no, that's completely accurate. And it's the fact that Ichigo has had to save the Soul Society on more than one occasion before, and they have to ask him for help again. It's not really that they want to do this, it's just the fact that they can't do it by themselves, so they have to ask him. And this has to be a sort of shame thing. I don't want to say shame, well, maybe in a sense, for the Soul Society, because, you know, they've carried on this way for hundreds of thousands of years, and then just one guy has had to save them on a number of occasions, completely change their way their lifestyle works with how the Soul Society is set up with the Raccoon guy and everything. So, yeah, I don't know how they would have mixed feelings toward Ichigo at this point. Some of them probably love the guy, others are probably just like, yeah, he changed everything, that son of a bitch, you know, I don't know. But Shunsui is obviously a little sullen by the fact that they have to rely on him so much. And it's Mizuiho who finally just cuts right to the point and asks why even though if Ichigo has to go save the Soul Society, why does that necessarily mean that they're never going to see him again? Because this has happened before with the SS arc and with the Fake Arc Hurtown arc, and he's always come back at the end. Shunsui states that right now Ichigo is in the Soul Palace. He doesn't directly say that because they're not going to have any idea what the hell the Soul Palace is. They just say, he's like, oh, he's in the Soul Society VIP area. Yeah, that's basically what it is. And states that right now he's going to require new power, and even though it's fairly certain that he's going to end up coming back to the Soul Society from the Soul Palace eventually, the power he gains there might be too strong and it might negatively impact the human world. If that's the case, they will not allow Ichigo to come back to the human world because that could cause more damage. Now, I got a comment in one of my videos. I don't know who sent it. It might have been a PM, it might have been a comment on the video, I don't know, I forget. But it basically it basically nailed this theory like dead on. The comment basically said that Ichigo is going to gain power so great that he won't be able to return to his human body. Like, his human body won't be able to endure this kind of power, and it will negatively impact the human world. So, I don't know that much about the body, although that would make perfect sense, but he pretty much nailed the comment right there. But anyway, the theory I have on this can be either, like, one of two things. Either, number one, it's the power he gained from his new Zanpakuto. Like, we've seen that even without his true Zangetsu, he is insanely strong. He's stronger than the average captain. But he's still able to, you know, hang out in the human world, and they even had to have his badge suppressing his power, and I like to think that even after the whole thing with Ginjo and the Fullbringer arc, he still allowed the badge to suppress his power, because Ichigo himself knows that he's not very good at controlling his Ryatsu and everything, so you know, even after the Fullbringer arc, he still had the badge on him, and it still probably suppressed his Ryatsu to a degree. So that's even before he got his true Zanpakuto. Now that he does have one, and we've seen just how amazingly awesome it is just by, you know, standing still, the energy this freaking thing gives off. You know, you think there has to be some limit to how much, you know, his regular human body can handle, because we've seen with Aizen and everything, like, just a human being just being close to strength like Aizen did, you know, basically just crush their entire body. You know, I find it hard to believe that post-Dongai training Ichigo with the final Getsuga, I find it hard to believe that that version of Ichigo could just go back in his human body and nothing would be different. You know, he had to have his whole, like he had his, major withdrawal of power before he got put back in his human body. I think that has something to do with that. So it could just involve that, like just having his true Zanpakuto could negatively affect the humans around him in a way. Or, second option, the power he gains in the Soul Palace is the power of the Soul King, or it's power like the Soul King, where I don't want to say he becomes one with the Soul King, like he becomes like the next one. I'm not sure if that's the way they're going to go with it, but the power he could gain could like be directly from the Soul King, like I said, after Nimai's palace, and they go to Shutara's and Ichiya's. After all that stuff's done, Ichigo will be invited into the court of the Soul King, and he might, or, you know, he or she, depending on what the hell that thing is, might bestow Ichigo with some power to help him fight the Quincy's, and that power is not something like you could just take away. It's something that's going to be with you, and if that's the case, I can understand why Shunsui is arriving in the human world to kind of set everything. I was like, hey guys, you know, it might not happen, but just in case it does, just giving you a heads up, because Ichigo is Ichigo. He would never be able to, you know, go up to his friends and tell them face to face that we're never going to be able to see each other, you know, the same way we always have. Mizuhiko questions, you know, exactly what are the numbers on this, like what are the percentages that Ichigo would possibly be able to gain this sort of power and would not be able to return. Shunsui says that the odds are astronomical. Now, I'm not sure why he would bring this up. I mean, Tatsuki questions like, okay, well, if the odds are that astronomical, why would you bother even telling me this? I mean, that's like saying, you know, I'm going up to you on the street and I'm like, hey, a plane's going to fall on your house and kill your entire family. You'd be like, whoa, what the hell? Okay, what are the odds of that? I was like, oh no, the odds are like astronomical. I just thought I'd tell you because, you know, I think it's my duty to tell you, because just to prepare you in case it does happen. Like, the hell? So I'm thinking that maybe, even if Shunsui directly believes it's astronomical numbers, like this could never happen, like 1 in a billion chance, I think the whole reason like Kubo would even put this scene in here implies that it's going to happen, or at least the possibility is going to happen. Like maybe the Soul King's going to be like, I'm going to give you this great power, but it's up to you to decide if you want it or not. And Ichigo decides like, well, and then there's like some like chapters of him deciding, and it's finally just like, you know what, I don't want this power, I can do it myself. He's at least setting something up for later on, okay? That's basically what I'm going with here. After informing them all of this crucial information, Shunsui decides to pass on the soul tickets to Ichigo's friends. Oh, soul tickets, okay. I remember this. See, most of you probably don't remember these. This was back in like chapter 99 or 100 or something like that. I remember right after Ichigo defeated Renji, Renji offered to give him a soul ticket, and the soul ticket would be able to him for Return of the Soul. I'm just fucking with you guys. No, these are just something completely different. I've never read this. Is like completely new to the series. Apparently what the soul tickets do, get this, they allow regular humans, because, well, I mean, I don't know regular humans, because Ichigo's friends sort of have at least a little bit of Ryatsu, but I mean, the way he's describing it is like regular humans, the ability to visit the Soul Society, like, round trip. In fact, the way he's describing it is like, you can use these things over and over to keep, like, going back and forth between the Soul Society. So, you know, question exactly why nobody ever gave this to Ichigo when he was by himself in the world of the living. Like, let's think about this logically. Like, alright, so Ichigo has his adventure in the Soul Society, and then Rukia decides to stay in the Soul Society, and then Ichigo goes home, Ukitake gives him the combat pass, like, okay, this combat pass, it'll let you turn into a Shinigami, and alerts you if he follows, stuff like that. Oh, by the way, in case you ever want to visit the Soul Society again, why the fuck would you want to do that? Take this soul ticket, and you can just show up whenever. Or better yet, after Ichigo, well, maybe no, okay, maybe after he loses his powers in the Fullbringer arc, maybe he couldn't go back because he has no Ryatsu. Let's just say you need a little bit of Ryatsu for these soul ticket things to work. Okay, that makes sense. But still, like after the Soul Society, it's just like, you know, maybe you never want to go back to Soul Society for any reason, you know? No, okay, just here's your combat pass. Have fun fighting hollows. We'll call you if we need you. Alright, so yeah, that's basically what the soul tickets do. Kotatsuki questions why they're giving them to us and not Ichigo's family, to which Shunsui responds that he's already done that. I don't know if that means, like, he appeared the same way he appeared in front of Tatsuki, Keigo, and Mizuho, where it's like, Yuzu, Karin, and Isshin, he explained all this stuff to them, or if Shunsui just appeared in front of Isshin, and then Isshin, you know, understood, like, oh, okay, I understand what has to happen, and maybe he'll have to explain it to Yuzu and Karin. Although, if Shunsui did appear in front of Yuzu and Karin, that would at least make more sense for them. That would finally clue them in on everything, because Karin knows a little bit about this stuff. Yuzu knows nothing at all. Yuzu is completely oblivious to this shit. And Isshin, it just seems a little bit better for Shunsui to appear than Isshin having to sit them down. Well, maybe that would work too, or Isshin having to sit his daughters down and say, alright, girls, let me just tell you something here. It's like, Dad, I'm making lunch. Yeah, hold on, Yuzu. I'm just gonna take a second. Your brother is the Grim Reaper, and I'm also a Grim Reaper, and your mother hunted giant demons with a magical bow abilities, and now Ichigo has actually gotten so badass and strong, he can never return here. So, just gonna let you know, here's a soul ticket, you can see him whenever you want. Alright, so what are we having for lunch there, sweetie? Before Shunsui leaves, he does state that this isn't going to happen. This stuff with Ichigo is not going to happen for at least another couple of weeks or months. It's not something that's going to have to be decided like tomorrow, and that he's actually going to try to send Ichigo back to the human world after he's done with the Soul Palace to kind of have him decompress and kind of just relax before the main battle starts. So we got back to Wakamundo for a little bit, where we see Orihime and Shad, and no, we don't get to see what's going on with them, although it is implied, or at least stated, that they're training an army of Arancars to help fight against the Vanenreich. I kind of already came up with that assumption, but basically, yeah. Orihime is just hanging out in the ruins, kind of relaxing from her training, and she hopes that this can just continue without war ever having to break out. Okay, so immediately after saying that, war breaks out. Thanks to Orihime, you fucking jinxed us, you fucking bitch. Anyway, so we cut back over to the Soul Society, where the shadows begin to take, I guess, form, and encompasses the entire Seirei in a giant dome. Guess Kubo was a fan of Stephen King. That's an awesome book, by the way. Read it if you have the time. Anyway, after this happens, not only does the dome appear, but it also begins to manifest the entire, I want to say Vandenreich City, because before this we've only seen the palace, and the palace does form at the very top, but we also get like other buildings. We get like a clock tower, which I'm assuming that when Kubo went to Germany, I'm assuming he's basing this entire city off of some German city somewhere, I'm not sure. Like the same way he based that one Quincy spell off of like a castle in Dresden. So probably that's the reason he went to Germany. But he's basically forming this entire castle, which is actually not just appearing next to the Soul Society or over the Soul Society, it's actually enveloping it, like taking over the Seirei buildings. And also I have to say, though, the symbolism involved in that, like the German buildings actually overlapping and overtaking the Japanese buildings, Japanese-style buildings, perfect, you know, symbolism for the whole, you know, like, I'll crush you under my foot sort of thing. So, props to Kubo there for the symbolism. And at the top of the manifested palace, we see Yuha, Uryu, and Haswalt standing triumphant over the entire Seirei. We cut over to the Squad 12 barracks, I think. See, I'm not really sure on this because the entire Seirei has been overwhelmed by this Vandenreich city, so I'm not sure if like the inside of the buildings are the same, or if the buildings of the Vandenreich like literally crush them, but from what we've seen, it's like basically covering over it. And my theory on this is, some people are wondering, like, okay, is the Ice Palace like underneath the Soul Society? At this panel right here, when the shadows began to manifest, you see the shadows appeared in the places where the shadows would be, you know, like inside of a building, underneath the roofing, like the gutter, so of course there would be shadows here. I want to think that when Kubo said the enemy is like in a place very near, it's in like the Shadow World, and the Shadow World is in a sense like next to the Soul Society or underneath the Soul Society. I don't think like it's literally down there. Like if you just drilled down deep enough, you'd find this whole underground reverse city. I think it's like still in another dimension, but the dimension is connected to the shadows of the Soul Society. Or maybe this is how the Quincy's tried to escape when they were under their persecution or some shit like that. But I just don't think it's literally underneath there, but the shadows are directly connected, and that's how, like maybe a better way to say it is that the Ice Palace is like the reverse of the Soul Society, therefore they're one and the same thing. I think that's a better way to describe it. Also, it makes sense why they were able to just, you know, appear in the last evasion, and like in Yamamoto's office, they were just able to appear, and Yuha was able to just appear inside the Seki barrier. You know, that would make more sense that they're just one and the same. Yuha states that their invasion was a resounding success, and he asks Uryu if he's ever heard the tale of the Kaiser Giseng, or basically like the Quincy King fairy tale that Isshin mentioned in the flashback. flashback a couple chapters back. Uryu states that yes, he has heard it, and restates the fairy tale. Basically, it went like 900 years regain your body, 90 years regain your intelligence, and 9 years regain your power. Yuha states that that's correct, but he also states that there's actually an addendum or a sequel to that limerick, which limerick, I guess that would imply that it's actually more of a song than a actual like fairy tale. I'd actually like be interested in hearing like the whole song like in German. That'd be kind of neat. You know, so maybe it's like more like a folk song, like a nursery rhyme or something. A nursery rhyme, yeah, sure, that'd be funny. Like, it's like, okay, little Quincy, just gonna set you to bed now. I'm gonna sing you a lullaby. All right. Now I lay you down to sleep, Kaiser Gesang will appear and reap the souls of the dead that you so hate. This is the power of the Vonden Reek. Kind of had to stretch that last rhyme, but you know what I mean, right? So basically, the addendum adds on one more last scene, where we had 900 years to regain your heart, 90 years intelligence, 9 years power, and 9 days to conquer the world. Time to go, Uryu and Haswalt. The end of the world is only 9 days away. Damn. You know, he's actually a pretty foreboding guy, you know, standing over the entire fairy tale, which has been warped into your domain and stating that I will conquer your asses, so that's pretty cool. Just don't compliment him. I made that mistake before. Hey, I like your reviews. Oh, gee, thanks. Wait. Fuck! Nice kid. Thank you, Zoe, and I apologize for not putting that in the last chapter. Anyway, now let's talk about what we really need to discuss. Hiatus time, and the beginning of a new, I guess, the other side of the 1,000-Year Blood War arc. Okay, it was posted on Manga Stream that Kubo is basically doing this hiatus to start a new half of the series called the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, the Separation story. And this is the reason he's doing the hiatus is to kind of take a rest and just build up and get ready for this final battle. Now, the problem I'm sure a lot of people had with this, and the fact that people are saying it's the end now, is that we thought that the final Blood War arc would last a long time. Like, we're not talking just like, you know, like it's lasted what? It started, you know, chapter 480, we're almost at 450, so let's just say an even, you know, 70 chapters. It's been pretty long by now. We were expecting like Soul Society, Arrancar saga sort of deal. We were expecting like, you know, 3-4 years of this shit. And, you know, the way Kubo's saying is like, we're getting ready for the final battle now. Even after the serial begins, I don't know if we're gonna like, if it's gonna, I'm sure it's not gonna be very quick, but guys, the way he's saying this and the way that it's stated that he wants to hurry up and just get, you know, like not hurry up, but he wants to go full in for the final battle, that would imply that this whole big invasion of the Soul Society, this is it. This is the last battle of Bleach. And while we still have a crap ton of things to explain yet, not the least of which being exactly, you know, what is Uryu doing there, how did the Stern Ritters come from, how did they get their weird Stern Ritter powers, you know, that's just like the basic stuff. I could go on and on. But just the fact that we're starting this final battle now, I want to say we're going to end this series around chapter 600 or something. Like, the way that it's expressed so far, like, no one expected this. No one expected just to, like, halfway cut down because, you know, like, I think someone made a chart or something stating, like, the way Kubo said that the 1,000-Year Blood arc was going to go, it was going to be longer than, you know, the Soul Society arc, and so we're only about 30% done so far, and we still have, like, 70% left. I don't know if that's still going to apply, or if Kubo just, you know, is just going to do the final battle and maybe explain everything in, like, a flashback, and then the chapter's going to end maybe, like, in another... I don't know if this is mean, like, it's halfway done. That's what I should be saying. I was like, I don't know if this is Kubo saying this is halfway through the arc and we only have, like, another 70-something chapters to wait on. You know, I don't know. But, you know, it's going to be an interesting thing what he's going to do with it. I hope that when he comes back in September, it's going to be, like, a big epic fight. Just right off the bat, I hope that, you know, this is so weird too, because Ichigo, you know, it's not like Ichigo is done with his training. I mean, he's still in the Soul Palace. He still needs to get done with this stuff, so I don't know if they're gonna, like, take it off, like, maybe they're gonna pick up in the Soul Palace, and then Ichigo was like, oh man, you have to hurry up and get back, you know, this shit's going down, or if it's gonna be, like, a fight first, and then, you know, Ichigo shows up, like, halfway between the fight, like he did in Fate Karakura, and then, you know, participate. I don't know how they're gonna do it. But, you know, it's just, nobody expected this. That's what I should be saying. No one expected, you know, this, like, a massive dome thing just to appear and the entire Vandenreich city to just manifest out of nowhere. And while Ichigo is still in the middle of training, while everybody's still in the middle of training, we only got, like, a couple of glimpses at, you know, Soifone, Toshiro, you know, Komamura training. So I don't know where they're going to go with this. But Kubo, you know, I'm gonna give you the benefit of that, okay? You have 2 months. 2 months. September 9th is when it comes back, in case you're curious, that the week of September 9th. You have 2 months to figure out what you're going to do with it, figure out, you know, maybe listen to your fans, brah. Just do that. Listen to your fans and figure out what they think they want. And I'm not saying just like cater to your fans, but at least listen to what your fans have a problem with, or at least listen to the fan base, what you have a problem with, and make goddamn sure, sorry for the swearing there, but just make freaking sure that you solve at least, I'm not saying you have to solve every plot point in Bleach, but if you're going to end it like within this final battle coming up, within like not like a huge amount of chapters, but like maybe like another 70-something chapters, make sure you answer the important questions. That's all I have to say. You know, like okay, what's up with Uryu? What's up with the Stern Ridders? What's up with the Soul King? What's up with Aizen? Just go into a little bit of detail on that stuff at least, okay? I'm not saying you have to like reveal what everybody's Bankai is, just touch upon the major issues, alright? Okay, well, guys, that's the end of the review, and, well, I don't know, 2 months, I got nothing. You know what, I think I'm gonna go off for an adventure for a little bit. I think I'm gonna head out on a little quest and see what the world has in store for me, you know? Been doing this game a long time, 2 years, almost 100 chapters. Just need to think about some stuff.